From the Primal in the Woods studio in sunny Florida, it's the Primal in the Woods podcast with your host, Michael Toons. This episode is brought to you by NFLcarports.com for all your steel building needs. Whether you're covering cars, toys, boats, tools, it doesn't matter. NFLcarports.com has you covered. Hello folks, it's Michael here. You know, I haven't even uttered a single word of this podcast yet, and I've already lied to you. I'm not in the Primal in the Woods studio. I'm actually literally out in the woods today. I'm recording in the Ocala National Forest in Central Florida. I'm sitting on an observation deck overlooking the Salt Springs Run. It's a 5 or 6 mile stretch of water that originates about 2 miles to my left at the natural Salt Springs and flows another 4 miles past me, emptying into Lake George, where it contributes to both the lake and to the St. Johns River that flows north up to Jacksonville. It's just after 10 in the morning here, and the temperature here is already in the mid-70s. It's a beautiful December 6th, 2017 in Florida. That introductory music is done by a band called the Pipe Choir. That song is Say It Anyway. I'd like to thank those guys for putting out some free music. And if you ever get a chance to listen to the Pipe Choir, please check them out. They're pretty dope. Since I'm sitting out here in nature, you might hear some sounds in the background, a little wind rustling through the palm tree leaves, a few boats passing by. There's a guy net fishing about a 1/4 mile away from me here, and another couple off in a different direction doing some line fishing. I'm here on an observation deck kind of looking over the water, and then back to my back is a forest. I hiked about 1.25 miles off the state highway up to this point. There's quite a bit of boat traffic out here and some jets overhead as well heading into Orlando. I'll do my best to keep some of that background noise to a minimum while I record out here. The studio's not quite ready for recording. I'm working on some things to make it a little more soundproof and a little more efficient. Hopefully I'll have that up and running very soon. You know, I've got a pretty good idea of what I want to talk about in this first podcast, but I've been kind of struggling with where to start. The last thing I want to do is record another hour of beginner material. There's so many of those hours out there already. I don't really think I have anything to contribute to that library of low-carb 101 stuff that's already out there. I'm not really interested in producing. Where do I start content? I'm sure I'll eventually talk about where I started. I'm sure I'll one day talk about tips and strategies for changing your diet. I'll probably end up even engaging with some people new to the lifestyle one-on-one when occasion permit. But I don't want this podcast to be bogged down with bullshit food lists and arbitrary guidelines for losing weight. That's not what I'm trying to do. I don't have a plan to pitch you. I have no agenda. However, I can't very well launch a diet and health podcast without spending at least some time defining what I consider to be a healthy diet. And in order to save you some time in deciding whether you want to listen to me or not, let's go ahead and get that out of the way now. I believe that most people, most being defined as like more than 50% of us, eat too many carbohydrates. Third world people eat too many carbs because wheat and rice and potatoes and shit are cheap. First world people eat too many carbohydrates because processed foods and grains are not only cheap, but they're easy and they're everywhere. The first thing I ever learned how to feed myself was cereal. The second thing was toast. The next thing was macaroni and cheese. I learned the value of money by selling M&Ms for school fundraisers. I learned that if I mowed a yard on a Saturday morning, I could buy candy and a hamburger that afternoon with the money that I earned. I learned that people celebrate, they socialize, they honor achievement by gathering around food, and usually bad food, you know. And then as I got older, I learned that a lot of people treat failure with food as well. Worse food and more of it even than the people that are using it for celebration. I learned that McDonald's is fast. I learned that Taco Bell's cheap. I learned that I could eat for a week on $10 if all I ate were bologna sandwiches and hot dogs. You learned all the same stuff. My point's this. We eat and drink too many carbs, too many empty calories, and too much processed crap and sugar. I propose that most people are healthier eating a low-carb diet. And folks, I don't even care which low-carb diet you eat. There's a family of plans out there, from paleo to primal to low-carb high-fat to keto to South Beach to Atkins, what else, Whole 30, the wild diet, whatever else you may have seen or read about. I personally eat a primal diet as outlined in Mark Sisson's book, The Primal Blueprint. But I eat only those primal foods that also qualify as ketogenic. So if you can imagine like a Venn diagram with two overlapping circles, primal on the left and ketogenic on the right, I eat the stuff that's inside both circles. I eat the stuff that's in the intersection. Why? Well, because I believe the Primal Blueprint is good for everybody as a basic blueprint, but I found that my particular body does best on a ketogenic diet. So instead of saying screw the Primal Blueprint, I'm going to switch to keto, I did something a little more mature. I said, how can I apply ketogenic diet principles to the Primal Blueprint? And in merging those two diets into the Michael Andrew Toombs eating philosophy, I found my perfect diet. So, I say that I think the Primal Blueprint works for just about everyone. I do. So maybe we should say, what is the Primal Blueprint? Well, you can always buy the book and read it, or check out marksdailyapple.com to learn all about the Primal Blueprint. In a nutshell, so to speak, it's a philosophy of eating and living that sounds something like this. You're going to eat a lot of plants and animals, and by that I mean meat, fish, fowl, eggs, vegetables, fruits, nuts, seeds, and full-fat dairy. You're going to avoid grains, sugar, processed foods, fast foods, and grass seed oils like canola, corn oil, vegetable oils. You're going to eat responsible portions of food, but not ever go hungry. You're not going to drink sugar. You're going to consume adequate vitamins and minerals. On the Primal Blueprint, you don't poison yourself with cigarettes or crap loads of energy drinks or alcohol or anything like that. You move your body a little more than you used to. You get good sleep. You're productive. You find some joy in your life. You rest. You laugh. Basically, you eat right. You get good sleep. You do a little exercise, and you don't be an asshole. Okay? That's it. It's that simple, isn't it? Well, it's not that simple. We know that. We know it's not easy in this modern day and age to eat right, diet, exercise, get good sleep, and all that. Who's got time for that, right? But let's say you do find the time and the desire, and you want to make some good, healthy choices with your life and make some changes to lose weight, get fit, look good naked, feel good. Frankly, for those who really want to make a change, there's so much conflicting and confusing and crazy information out there that, hell, people with PhDs in biochemistry from the same graduating class of the same freaking school can't even agree on the same proper diet. Throw in the ridiculous amount of food that's in your face every day, along with genetic wiring that tells you to eat everything you see, and what we have is massive chaos when it comes to understanding what we as individuals need to do to get healthy. Never mind Facebook diet groups. Jesus, what a monstrous hill of bad information that is. So you got all these health and fitness gurus on TV selling pills and selling potions and selling their plans for however much money, and they're all telling you how easy it is. Look, do it my way. It's so easy. Easy abs. This easy diet plan. Simple solutions to being overweight. Lose belly fat in 14 days following this simple solution. All the literature, all the programs, everything just tells us how easy it is. How easy it is to be healthy. How easy it is to lose weight. Let me ask you something. How easy is it? 10 years ago, 11 years ago, I weighed 300 pounds. I was 100 pounds overweight, 33 years old, family, job, car payments, the whole thing, just a normal existence, and I got fat as hell. And I didn't get that way on purpose. I didn't find myself 300 pounds, out of breath, chasing the kids around, having a hard time getting through the day with all sorts of backaches, toothaches, just feeling miserable and not being able to do much physically. I didn't get there on purpose. And I don't think you did either if you're in that situation now. And then we have all dieted before. We've all tried to switch and eat healthier. We've done the whole grains. We've done eating salads and starved through a Christmas dinner because we're on some kind of stupid diet. We've all been there. So let me ask you a question. If over half of our population is overweight, if a third of us are diabetic or pre-diabetic, and all we have to do is follow these simple, easy plans to getting in shape, let me ask you a question. Why aren't more people doing it if it's so damn easy? The answer's pretty simple. And some people that want to sell you vitamins and books and programs may not like me saying this, but they can't argue with me. The truth is, it's not easy. It's hard as fuck to get healthy, especially if you've allowed yourself to get unhealthy. Reclaiming that health is is impossibly hard. Not impossibly hard, but it's hard. Okay? It's possible. I've done it. I've seen a lot of other people who've done it, so I know it's possible. I'm just saying it's hard. And if you're looking for the quick, easy fix, listening to me is probably not going to do you much good. You'll think I'm a jerk. You'll think I don't know what I'm talking about. There's got to be some way to lose 40 pounds in 30 days because I have a friend's wedding and I want to look skinny well, fuck, you should have thought about that in the last 10 years. Enough of my rant there. Let's switch gears a little bit. So let's say you want to change. Let's say you want to change your habits and you want to get healthy and lean and feel better and cure some of the ailments that cause you misery. Look, what you have to get through your head right away is that there is no one way to do it. There's no one way to get healthy. There's a million ways to do it. Hell, there's 7 billion different ways to do it, if you get my drift. The question for you is, what's your way? And I don't know what your way is. I found my way. I lost 100 pounds and I've kept it off for a lot of years. I'm stronger, faster, healthier, and more energetic at 44 today than I was when I was 21. At a time in my life when a lot of people are falling apart, I'm vigorous, I'm vital, I have a great sex life. I'm happy with my career and my hobbies. And that's what this podcast is all about. I want to share my way with you on the off chance that my way, or some variation of it, is your way too. Maybe I can help you filter out the noise and dial in a path that works for you. Unless you're a complete jerk in this world, when you find something awesome, you want to share it with other people. That's all I'm doing here. I'm putting my story out there, my thoughts, my experiences, in hopes that maybe one or two other people will glean some information from my experience enough to find their own way to some sort of permanent state of health and happiness, and with regard to how they feel and how they look, their weight, whatever. And along the way, I should probably start out by saying I have not invented or discovered anything. There is none of this that I will ever talk about that originated in my brain. I may use some language that as a conversationalist and a writer may be unique to my perspective, but as far as any of the science or nutrition understanding or anything, I didn't discover any of this. I'm just a dude that reads a lot of stuff, watches a lot of health and diet content. I follow people like Rob Wolf and Mark Sisson, Dr. Sarah Halberg, Nora Gagaudis. I've read Gary Taubes. I like to watch Tim Noakes speak, Chris Kresser, Chris Masterjohn, Ron Rosedale, who else? Lane Sebring, Doug McGuff, Rhonda Patrick, and many others are. I follow these people and read their information and sort of keep this diet and health and nutrition science genre, I guess, in front of me at all the times. I'm a constant student of this stuff. I can fluctuate between being a total science geek, reading studies word for word, to being more of a social food philosopher that's more into what's going on in your head, that kind of thing. But I do all this. I explore all these topics and this education always from the perspective of having an open mind, willing to consider new ideas, different perspectives. I don't know anything for certain. I just can report that there's things that I've done that have worked for me, and maybe they'll work for you too. Maybe you're going to do something totally different, but there's something I say that helps sort of put that, maybe some confusing part of the message that you've been working on, maybe put it in perspective and help you understand what you're doing there. Who knows? We're just going to talk about this stuff and see what happens, and hopefully someone out there will gain a little bit of insight, find a little bit of motivation, and maybe even learn something. Who knows? If you're looking for a quick fix, if you want to lose 30 pounds in 30 days, or if you want to do something stupid to cut weight real fast, I'm not your guy. You don't want to listen to me, because I'm going to tell you that that's a bunch of crap and that it's not good for you. If you're an athlete in excellent shape and you're just looking to get that extra little 5% explosiveness, or cut some time, or cut that final little piece of body fat off your six-pack, I'm probably not your guy either. That's not me. I'm not a jock. Haven't played organized sports since I was in the 7th grade. I did get into tennis as an adult, but I haven't played a tennis match since 2008. I'm not a weightlifter, gym rat. I'm not a runner. I'm not a marathoner. I'm none of that. I'm just a guy that tries to eat right, get a little bit of exercise, focus on sleep and fun, and getting proper nutrition, and that's worked for me. So I would say, if you're in that category looking for something extreme, find another podcast. Mine's gonna be a waste of your time. But if you're fat and sick, if every time you lose 40 pounds every time you've lost 40 pounds in your life, you turn around and gain back 50, and you've been on this yo-yo for a long time, and you're sitting there right now at an all-time high. Maybe you're scared for your health. Maybe a doctor's giving you some bad news. Maybe you're frustrated with this roller coaster of weight ups and downs. And maybe I am your guy then. Maybe you're ready to listen to some reason and deal with some of your emotional shit and stop thinking about all these dumb diets and pills and shakes and easy fixes. I lost 100 pounds and I lost it once. It sucked. And it took me a long time. But, I'll never have to lose those pounds again. I never will, because they're not coming back. I found my way. I found the way that works for me, and it's going to work for me forever. And I can, I guess you can never say never, but all the evidence points to the fact that I'm kind of done as far as that losing fat off my body mode goes, and I've settled into something that's comfortable and healthy for me. Okay, so let's look at it like this. Okay, how many people do you know that were really fat 10 years ago but are super healthy now? I have an admittedly small social circle, but I can tell you that the only person I know in real life who has done it is me. Lots of people in my online communities have done it, but no one I can touch has ever done it but me. So do you know any real people who have done it? If I did, I would have been following them around like a dog, asking them questions and taking notes all the time. Hey, Brenda, can you buy me a cup of coffee so you can tell me how you do it? Steve, what went through your mind 10 years ago that made you decide to change? Larry, what the hell are you eating, son? You look great. That kind of thing. Honestly, though, there aren't that many of us out there in the real world. So if you don't know anyone who can show you and share with you what they've done or counsel you or guide you, then yeah, maybe I can be your guy. Because, this is a passion project for me. This isn't about money or trying to make a name for myself or anything. If you look at the numbers on the money pie that's out there for low carb and ketogenic dieting podcast author type things, there's not much money out there, man. And honestly, there's 5 or 6 guys that pretty much have that sewn up. So I'm doing this because I found something good and I just want to share it. It's not about money. And so I don't really care however many hours or how much of my own money I spend or how many buckets of sweat I put into this podcast or into my upcoming YouTube channel, if I do write a book in the future or whatever. If one person comes up to me 10 years from now and says, Mike, your show got me started, man. This is where I was a decade ago. And he shows me his fat picture, right? This is where I was a decade ago. Look at me now. Hey, you know what? And my sister started 2 years later, and now she's one of us too. If that happens once, just once in my life, then all the work I do here will have been worth it to me. I'm from a big family, and by big I mean large. I'm the youngest of 11 kids, and then by big I also mean fat. I've got, out of those 11, one brother, Tom, stayed pretty much thin most of his life. There was even a period in his life where he probably had about 30, 40 extra pounds, and he took control of that. And congratulations to him for that, because all the rest of us blew up, man. I'm talking very big. Matter of fact, last year we buried one of my older brothers, Robert, who died of basically complications associated with obesity. And everyone in my family, me included back in the day, okay? I used to play around a little bit with dieting too, but my 5 sisters for sure, and then several of my big brothers, I've watched them do this yo-yo dieting for 40 years, man. And I got to be honest with you, I'm not sure that any of them are better off right now today having yo-yoed so much as they would have been had they just not even messed with dieting. I don't know. To me, that mounting pile of evidence of lost 40, gained 50, lost 40, gained 50, lost 40, gained 50, that experience in history at some point, the stress that causes and the emotional distress that causes a person, I don't know, man. I don't even know if that'll be healthier than being just fat and stay there, All right, but that's neither here nor there. My point is, this is a passion project of mine. I'm going to do it. I'm going to talk about this this wonderful lifestyle and way of eating that I've found. I'm not going to just do it like a textbook. I'd rather just have conversations. I'd rather just share some of the strategies and thoughts that I've had as I've had some success with this, and then sooner or later I'll get kind of interactive and maybe have some guests and maybe even find some people that'll argue with me on a few things, and we can keep this kind of lively. I plan to keep going with this until I can just look back and there's a body of work that I can say, hey, you know what? That's about all I have to say. If somebody starts at the beginning and takes a look at my material, then they'll pretty much know everything that I have to offer. So that's the goal. So anyway, the introductions aside, let's get into the podcast for today, 25 minutes later. My topic for today is, okay, so you decided you're tired of being fat and you really want to make a real change and you're serious. And let me start with a quote from my good friend Rob Wolf. Now, when I say good friend, he'd be like, who the hell are you? I'm not his friend. We've interacted a little bit online. He's been very gracious answering some questions that I've had over the years. I've read his books. I've listened to his podcasts. He's someone who puts out material that I think is both valid and interesting. The way he gives presentations is engaging. He's got a sense of humor, and he also looks at things from a perspective very similar to my own, as far as there is no one way to do everything, that you have to sort of take individual account of who you are and what you need and design your diet and not just follow my diet or Rob's diet or whatever. So anyway, a quick quote. This is from Rob Wolf's book, Wired to Eat. Millions of people start a diet each year, but the vast majority fail to achieve the results they desire. Why is that? Is it a moral failing on our part, or is there more to the story than a weak will? Instead of moralizing eating, perhaps we should consider that we live in a world that is ill-suited to our genetics, that our food, sleep, movement, and social connections have changed in ways that our bodies find difficult to adapt to. If we understand how our world has changed, how our genetics are wired for a different world, we can free ourselves of the shame and misplaced morality associated with the inherent difficulties of change. We can finally stop blaming ourselves for our inability to lose weight and get healthy. Okay, so what Rob's saying here is, look, everybody's on a diet. The vast majority fail. They think it's just because they're lazy or they have a weak will or it was the wrong diet or the wrong pill or program or whatever. But that's not it. That's not why people fail. People fail because we're wired to have us eat a certain diet and live a certain way. And our modern world is constantly trying to get us to eat and sleep and work and play in a different way, in a way that's contrary to how we're really built and biologically wired to live. And if we understand this, if we understand that we're swimming upstream right from the beginning, then we can, like Rob says, free ourselves of that emotional garbage that comes along with being fat or failing at a diet. We can stop blaming ourselves and just recognize that what we're doing is hard. Recognize that what we're trying to do is going to take work and sacrifice. Recognize that what we're trying to do is live the way nature intended us to live. And once you really get that, once you really understand that eating low carb or paleo or primal or whatever is not about eating some nasty fat-filled butter huffing kind of diet that's just some sort of gross way of tricking your system, like you'll hear from a lot of people, that it's about eating the way nature intended you to eat, and then recognize that the world is set up to not want you to eat that way. There's no money in chicken and broccoli, man. The money is in the packaged crap, the money's in the pills, the diet potions and all that, and the medications ultimately. So the world wants you to eat crap and get sick and get fat because the food industry makes more money if you eat more food. The food industry makes more money if you take the stuff that they grew and processed very cheaply and put in a pretty little package for you for $3.99. The more you eat of that, the more money they make. So it's not just a matter of weak will. It's not just a matter of, oh my gosh, I'm too lazy. I'm too fat to exercise. I'm too weak to not eat that chocolate cake. That's that's really not even the right way to look at it. The right way to look at it is this. You're unhealthy today. You're obese today because of a lot of the choices that you made based on the best information available even sometimes. And you want to make those changes. So the way to make those changes is to get more natural with your diet and to understand what you're supposed to be eating, when you're supposed to, how much you're supposed to be sleeping, how much you're supposed to be exercising, and other things that you can do in order to take that emotional stigma, that feeling of failure away from the things that you're eating and allow you to feel that freedom and express that freedom of eating the diet you're naturally designed to eat. So the first thing you have to do is you have to come to that understanding. You have to really believe that the world is set up to feed you the wrong things, for you to eat the wrong things, and for that to have negative consequences. And then you have to decide, screw that. That's not how I'm going to live. I'm going to do it right. Right? And then you have to understand what right is. You have to understand that, this diet of meat, fish, eggs, fowl, vegetables, fruits, nuts, seeds, healthy oils, full fat dairy, that these are the things you're supposed to be eating, and that you need to avoid the processed garbage, the extra sugar, the refined carbohydrates, and all those things that cause our systems problems and wreak havoc on our bodies and ultimately make us sick and fat. You have to come to believe that. And I can give you some resources. I can, one day I'll spend an entire podcast just going over resources. I won't do that today. I've already mentioned I follow the Primal Blueprint. I named off some people that I follow. Those are the people that helped me understand how to eat properly. And then I just kind of went from there and designed my own program, which is what you'll need to do ultimately. But I do have a few pieces of advice for you. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there, man. I just looked over and a bald eagle comes flying down and snags a fish right out of the water and then hauls ass. That was amazing. I just jumped up and scrambled and tried to get my camera and take a picture, but I was too late. Wow, that was amazing. Growing up in West Texas, I'd never seen a bald eagle before, and they're all over around here. Out here in the Ocala National Forest in Florida, it's pretty awesome. Anyway, back to where I was going to give you some basic, some tips and ideas for helping you get started. And I'm not talking about the food, man. We'll do that another time. I'm talking about just ways to get your head straight on, and a few tips for how you can best prepare yourself to get started on the right foot and create a sustainable program for yourself. These are in no particular order of importance, okay? My number one tip would be change one thing at a time. This isn't the time to quit smoking or join a gym or take a second job or anything like that. It's a time to eat differently. Focus on the task of eating low carb. Learn how to shop, learn how to cook, and how to really dine in a low carb way. Try to keep the rest of your life in order while you adjust, okay? Tim Ferriss once said that the most important piece of advice he could give anyone trying to be successful in anything was that: change one thing at a time. You're only capable of so much change. My second tip would be to find someone to hold you accountable. Anyone who cares about you will do. Anyone who's close to you, ideally a spouse would be the right. But if you don't have a spouse that's willing to work with you, or don't have a spouse at all, a friend, a family member, a co-worker, even a kid, there's someone to hold you accountable and say, hey, sit them down and say, hey, look, they don't have to be doing it with you. Just sit them down and say, hey, look, I want to do this. This is important to me. Tell you what, look out for me. Have my back. Let me, lend me a shoulder to cry on once in a while, or an ear to hear me out once in a while. Just be supportive. And who knows, they may join in with you, they may not, but either way, have them hold you accountable and let them know what you're doing, so that you can always look at that person's face and kind of draw a little bit of inspiration, because you told them you were going to do something, now do it. You know what I mean? My third tip would just be have food in the fridge. Don't start this if you don't have any money for groceries. Don't make a huge change to your diet if you can't afford to go buy the right foods. When you do cook, make extra food. Keep easy to cook foods on hand. Keep leftovers on hand. Usually in our fridge there's some brats, or some cooked chicken legs, or a jar of pickles. Sometimes there's some pepperonis or some boiled eggs. Sometimes you just need a little something to get through to the next meal that you're going to cook, and having that stuff ready to eat and ready to go when you're hungry or have the munchies is a good plan. You're most likely to get through that moment on plan without doing something stupid like run into the store or the fast food joint. My next tip would be write things down. It can be a notebook, a diary, a blog, whatever. Just write things down. Write down your feelings. Talk about what you're going through. This will help you process your emotions and, kind of work through your struggles. No one ever has to read it. It doesn't have to be organized. Just the act of writing things down helps kind of create a mental filing system that helps us keep our thoughts in order. And if we're going to get through a lifetime of acting, in particular eating, a little bit differently than how other people do it, then you're going to want to kind of keep your perspective intact. You're going to want to refresh your, sharpen your tools, so to speak, and keep your successes in the front of your mind. Keep your goals close to your consciousness. Okay. And my last tip is just to hang out with successful people. Try to find real life people that are positive. They know what they're talking about. Make friends with people that are already healthy. Maybe spend a little less time with your negative family members and friends. Distance yourself from the people at work that waste time and just sit around and eat donuts all the time. I hate to say this, but join a Facebook group. I mean, you'll find pretty quickly that I don't have a lot of faith in Facebook groups. But sometimes, if there's no real live people you can touch that'll help keep you motivated, and that there are people you can look up to, join a Facebook group if you have to. Find people to talk to, find people to mentor you, find people to be around that are doing things right. Now, with regards to the food itself, like I said earlier, don't start unless you have enough money to at least buy a bunch of the cheap meat, eggs, fowl, fish, cheese, full fat dairy, lots of vegetables. If you don't have the money to go do it, don't go put a bunch of groceries on a credit card. Just wait till your next payday and just do some reading while you work through the food you have on hand. Another week or two of eating what you've been eating your whole life shouldn't kill you, and you don't need money stress being part of your first week. And before you make that first food run, go ahead and get rid of everything in your house that's non-compliant. Toss it, give it away, whatever you want to do. If you're in a house full of people that aren't going to be on the diet with you, at least create your own space. You'll need some room in the freezer, the fridge, maybe a little shelf in the cupboard for your stuff. These spaces should all be empty when you go to the store to make your first grocery run. Just have them gone. And then make sure you've got the right tools for cooking meat and vegetables. Pots, frying pans, cutting boards, 2 or 3 cookie sheets for sure, good knives, pancake turners, whatever those are called, spatulas, tongs, a cheese grater. I also recommend a crock pot, a steamer, a good grill if you have the money. Tupperware for leftovers and freezer bags for marinating meat and saving uncooked portions of food are essential in my house. And your first shopping run should be to load up on things you like, okay? And things you know how to cook. The first few days are going to be rough, so this is not the time to try new recipes of things you've never cooked before. If you've never eaten an avocado before, don't buy one right now. There'll be plenty of time to try new things later. Don't buy fish if you don't know how to cook it. Buy steaks if you like to eat them. Buy real butter to cook in. If you like creamer in your coffee, ditch whatever you're using now and try heavy whipping cream. Trust me, you're going to love it. Get sausage, bacon, eggs, roast, pork chops, whatever it is that you like and you know how to cook. Broccoli, lettuce, cauliflower, cucumbers, celery, spinach, olives, whatever vegetables you like. Just no potatoes, no sweet potatoes. Definitely no breads, no sweets, nothing in a box. Just all stuff from like the outsides of the store, the produce section, the meat department, your dairy section. All right, and when it's time to cook, I should say, set aside time to cook, especially at first. I know busy moms and shit will laugh at me for saying that, but you really do have to set aside the time. If you don't cook it right, it's not going to taste right, and you're going to be miserable. Okay, so prepare food you know how to cook. Set aside the time to cook them. And then set aside a time to sit down and really enjoy eating the food. Your first few dinners take a little bit longer, than you normally would to eat. Maybe sit at your dining room table when you normally eat on the couch in front of the TV. Take some time to do things different and really savor and enjoy the food. Because if you know how to cook it and it's a meat and a vegetable and you like it, then it's going to be a wonderful meal. Sit down and enjoy it and take the time to really appreciate what you've done there. And put healthy portions on your plates. Start with. We use those. We don't use the big dinner plates in our house. We use like the medium sizes. I don't know what you call it. the kind you'd put a couple pieces of toast on for breakfast if you're eating like that, or at a restaurant. That medium-sized plate, and that's what we put. You can fit a couple chicken legs and a big serving of broccoli on one of those plates. That's a good way to control your portions, And then if you want a little second helping, then you can do that. But you can finish that plate and then think to yourself, do I want more or not? Am I still hungry? If you stop before you're full, you'll find that you don't need to eat as much. Okay. So if you slow down, take your time, eat slowly, enjoy your food, you'll find that you're not eating as much as you would eat if you pulled out a big bag of tater tots or whatever, pizza rolls, and you just mindlessly just eat them. If you put a good portion of good food on a plate and finish your plate, then you can make that decision, do I want a little bit more? After a week or two of eating stuff you know how to cook, then you can do some more exciting things. You can push your kitchen skills, buy some new things that you've never tried before. I did that with eggplant. I bought it, I cooked it, it sucked, and I'll never do it again. But that's just part of trying new things. Brussels sprouts are something I've learned to like. Asparagus is something I've learned to like, and I never bought that in my big days. Just something I've tried and learned to like. And then there's other things I've tried that no way. Avocado, forget it. I don't ever want to eat another avocado in my life. Mayonnaise, keep it. I'll never touch it. But you got to have your kitchen set up right. If you're fighting your kitchen from the very beginning, your chances of victory are not very good. So I don't know if any of this stuff's even helpful. I'm just trying to hopefully give some advice to people that are new to this, that maybe feel a little overwhelmed, and just give them a few tips. Give you a few tips to sort of relax a little bit, take it easy, take it a step at a time, one foot in front of the other. You do not have to just jump into this thing like it's like it's a pool of ice cold water, and then if you do that, you're going to freak out and scramble to shore, and you're going to bail. The right way to do this is to research thoughtfully what you believe to be a healthy diet. And if it's a low carb approach, then there's changes you're going to want to make. You're going to want to ditch the grains. You're going to want to ditch the vegetable oils and seed oils. You're going to want to get all the processed crap and sugar and sweets out of your house, and you're going to want to think about the meats and vegetables and eggs and full-fat dairy and good healthy cooking oils and low glycemic index fruits and things that you're going to want to make a part of your diet. And that's where you start. You start with what you know, you start with what you like, and you start with a mind that's clear and receptive with an emotional detachment, okay? You know this is the right way to eat. You're going to start with things you already know you like. You're going to start with things you already know how to cook, and you're going to avoid some other things. And there's no emotion attached to any of this. It's just a blueprint. It's just a plan. It's just executing some simple instructions, almost like you're programming a computer. You're going to put in the right inputs so that your machine, your body, gives you the outputs you're looking for. Well, I'm sure we'll get into a lot of these topics in much more detail in future podcasts, but this is just being my first one. I don't want to dive too deep into all this right now. I'm going to go ahead now and do the first edition of the segment I call Great Answers to Stupid Questions from Facebook. Have you ever been in a Facebook diet group? They're freaking train wrecks, man. Not only do you have people who have no clue what they're talking about, just spewing out all this garbage, but you also get the people who have no social skills whatsoever just verbally trampling over people who are just trying to figure things out. And then you have these admins, people with enough education and knowledge to click a button and start a group, lurking around and commenting on every post. Read the rules, read the pinned posts, check the files, eat more fat. Oh yeah, that's my favorite, the fat hammer. So I'm in a lot of these Facebook diet groups, and I don't even know why half the time. There's a lot of bad information in there. But there's some really good folks too. Good folks that are trying to be helpful. Good folks that are really trying to do it right and learn. But there's a lot of people that just abuse the internet, man. They're just ugly people, and quite a few people that don't want to put in the work to learn anything themselves too. But Facebook groups can be helpful to some, but they can be tricky places to navigate when you're looking for good information, okay? I'm in a lot of these groups, and I won't ever say where any of these questions came from or who asked them or anything like that. But I've surfed the groups a little this morning to come up with a few questions that I think deserve better answers than what they got. And so here we go. Number 1, I find that I'm eating too much protein and not enough fat. How do you guys manage your protein intake? Okay, so unpacking that first statement, I find that I'm eating too much protein and not enough fat, would take way more information than this poster provided, okay? How did you find this? What makes you think it's true? How much protein and fat are you eating? What's your age, height, weight, body type? What medications are you taking? Way more information is needed to figure out what she even means by that statement. Okay, so let's focus on the question she asked, which is, how do you guys manage your protein intake? Well, Sheila, that's not your name, but I'm going to call you something. Sheila, here's how I manage my protein. Every meal I eat is reasonably portioned, and it contains some amount of meat, egg, cheese, and vegetable combination, okay? The only way to manage your protein is to control the animal portions of food on your plate. The protein in your vegetables is fairly negligible, and since we don't eat grains, we don't have to worry about those proteins. The proteins in your cream, sauces, oils, butters, and cheeses are fairly negligible also, okay? 3 eggs and 3 ounces of bacon is about 30 grams of protein, okay? 30 grams per meal is a good number to shoot for if you're a female eating 2 or 3 times a day. I think you'll find that the right portion of salmon, chicken, beef, lamb, or whatever will end up being somewhere in that ballpark of 30 grams a meal. Some will be less, some will be more, but a general rule of thumb is the amount of food that looks right on a woman's plate will contain 20 to 30 grams of protein. That's if you're eating meat, eggs, and vegetables. If you're eating a bunch of pseudo food stuff that's mostly sugar alcohols or artificial sweeteners and almond flours and all that kind of thing, all that goes out the window, okay? The understanding that I just have to take into this is that we're talking about eating meats and vegetables on, at a meal. So when you cook meat, eggs, and vegetables in butter, olive oil, coconut oil, or whatever, and serve them with full fat toppings, dressings, and sauces you like, you're pretty much going to get the right amount of fat with your protein. Okay, you can't help it. It's just how it works. Now, if you eat steamed broccoli and baked shrimp with no added fats, then sure, your fat to protein ratio will be skewed to protein, but foods cooked like that taste like shit. So why would you do that? Don't make those food choices. Choose meats that have some fat in them and cook them in some fat. They're going to both taste better and deliver the ratios you're looking for. Okay, so the reason this was a stupid question, Sheila, is because you declared that you're not getting your ratios right, but you didn't give me any evidence to support that statement, and then you asked how I do it. The reason my answer is great is because I gave my simple and honest strategy for managing protein intake. Eat 2 to 3 times a day and make the portions the right size. Do that for a while, and eventually your body's going to basically self-regulate. You'll instinctively know how much protein you need based on like hunger, cravings, appetite for whatever's in front of you. If a big-ass meatless salad is tasting amazing to you, you're likely good on protein. If you have a mad craving for steak, eat some protein. You probably need some. This part of it, the protein component of this is so simple, it's almost magic. You just put a reasonable portion of whatever meat and eggs and fish and chicken or whatever that you want on your plate, and magically over several weeks, those portions that you put on your plate are going to just about line up perfectly with the protein that your body needs. All right, next question. This one comes from Harriet. What do y'all eat for fast-to-go snacks and meals? I'm a single mom, work from home. Kids are only in school half days. I have no time to cook. Help, I'm in week 2 of keto. I should also add, I don't like leftovers, so meal prepping is not an option. It just tastes awful to me on day 2. Wow. Okay, stupid question, Harriet. Let's unpack it. Single mom, work from home, kids home half the day, no time to cook. I call bullshit. You have time to cook. You just don't want to cook. You don't want help with food ideas. You want to keep eating microwave foods. You want the benefits of a ketogenic lifestyle without having to actually adopt a ketogenic lifestyle. And you can't stomach leftovers, but I bet you could tear up a couple of Hot Pockets. Look, Harriet, there's no fast and easy way to eat properly prepared foods. You have to shop wisely. You have to put meals together yourself. And yes, you have to cook them. You can't be a skinny, healthy, work-from-home single mom unless you eat like a skinny, healthy, work-from-home single mom. There's no fast food method to this, okay? Now, that said, there are plenty of low-carb snacks you can keep on hand. Pepperoni slices, pickles, string cheese, almonds, all that requires zero prep. But don't just feed yourself and your kids all that crap alone. Hey, I work from home too. And I can work, I can do laundry, I can bake chicken and drink coffee all at the same time. Work smarter. Harriet, put your home office closer to your kitchen. Teach your kids how to cook and prep meals. Reheat leftovers in the oven instead of the microwave if you don't like that microwave taste. They taste better. You can't change your body without changing some habits. You got to learn how to cook, Mama. Number 3, Veronica writes, Hey everyone, I am wanting to start the keto journey and I need help with rules of what to do, when to eat, when not to eat, and what to eat, LOL. Any advice helps. Thanks in advance. Oh, Veronica, I think you should probably just fuck off. You're not ready. Not at all. Come back when you've read something. All right, number 4. Brandon inquires, good morning. I need help planning a low-carb Christmas dinner, kid-friendly if possible, and desserts are a must. I just saved the post about low-carb cookies, but more ideas and recipes are welcome. We're newbies, like today is day 3, and we need all the help we can get. Thanks. Oh, Brandon, my brother, it's December 6th, amigo. You're on day 3, and you're worried about a meal it's almost 3 weeks away. You're not ready to turn your kitchen into a low-carb dessert factory yet. Look, try this. Stick to your plan that you're working on right now. Read all you want about low-carb baking. And then around December 20th, 21st, choose 2 recipes for desserts to try. I don't care how many people you're feeding. 2 dessert choices are enough. Kids don't care. They'll eat anything, and the adults are grown enough to take a pass if they don't want it. You're not going to wow anyone with the low-carb goodies. They're not as good as the real thing, and 3 weeks in is not the time to get all emotional about a Christmas dinner fail. Keep it simple this year. By next Christmas, you'll be ready to take it to the next level. All right, those are my great answers to stupid Facebook questions. I guess with that timely holiday question and answer, we'll leave it there for now. Folks, please remember that just because someone in a Facebook group makes a comment doesn't mean they know what they're talking about. These groups do have some value. They can give you a sense of tribal belonging. They can give you support, motivation. Some people share some great ideas and recipes, but when it comes to dialing in your healthy version of low-carb living, please don't blindly run with anything you find in a Facebook diet group. Do serious research and find a plan that makes real sense to you. Something that lights a fire inside you, something that you can feel good about. Okay, I guess that about wraps up this first episode. I need to get back to my real job now, but I hope you'll check out future episodes of the Primal in the Woods podcast. I do plan on doing some cool shopping, meal planning, and cooking videos in the near future. And in the next episode, I'll dive pretty deep into the psychology of eating well and offer some in-depth suggestions on how you can best equip yourself to eat primally in a modern world. And let me leave you with something I wrote a while back. It's a short quote that I'll admit I was pretty proud of when I wrote it. Nature designed your body to be healthy. You were foreordained to be robust, energetic, capable, and strong. You were born to be lean and vibrant. You are the most elegant, most complex, and most efficient creation in the history of deep time. Your countless trillions of atoms performing the most carefully orchestrated electrochemical masterpiece ever conceived. This is your birthright. Health is yours unless you willingly choose to trade it away. If you've already spent your health on the unnatural garbage that man made in the name of ease and luxury, there's good news. You can get it all back by making a different bargain today. Nature also designed your body to heal, to recover, and to restore itself after periods of malaise. It doesn't come easy. It's not costless, but for almost every broken body, there's a natural path back to remarkable health. The path requires courage. It demands determination. It calls for education, faith, commitment, and sacrifice. It insists on a fiery desire to improve and a willingness to leave off man's badass idea of the good life in pursuit of a life that is truly good, blessed with health, independence, happiness, productivity, and love. You're sitting on the winning lottery ticket that nature gave you at birth. Cash the damn thing in. All right, folks, that wraps up this episode of the Primal in the Woods podcast, brought to you by NFLcarports.com. Just a reminder, I'm not a doctor. This podcast is recorded for entertainment purposes only, and none of the information contained herein is intended to diagnose or treat anything. If you're sick, go see a doctor. And if you decide to sue me despite this disclaimer, good luck, asshole. Telling someone to eat their vegetables is not exactly dietary advice. Peace.